like, where's the girl with the thank Jesus hat on? I was like, that's me. Thank you, Jesus. I'm walking across the stage. I don't even know if I'm technically graduating because I don't know if I'm going to pass this class, but we going to trust in the Lord because I can't stay here no more. I got to go.
Yeah.
School is not for me.
That's one of the big lessons of our relationship is how much can be nurtured and how much can change in your partner and your significant other over time.
Yes. So I told Kane, I told you, because I messed up and now you're interested in this other girl, why don't you date both of us?
And so I'm like, cool, that's fine with me. Yeah, like I thought she was cute to begin with, and maybe things will just go different than how things went with Adriana these past 8 weeks or however long it was.
Yeah. Like, no, red flag. I already said I'm not fooling with no youngins again. I'm through with that.
But you couldn't help yourself. Me and this girl meet up. We go to a proper lunch date or something like that.
Yeah, you took her on a date.
Yeah, we hung out and...
The disrespect, y'all.
Yeah, during this whole time, Adriana and I
didn't take me on not one date.
Not at
all.
Time. Adriana's hand shoots up, and I think your friends were like,
yeah,
pointer. Yeah,
there's a lot of them pointing at me too.
So you come up, and
so I come up and I ask you, are you going to ask me to be your girlfriend?
And then I'm like, will you be my girlfriend?
Yes.
Like a dork. What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the For the One podcast. My name is Kane.
And I'm Adriana.
And we're the San Miguels. Cheers! There's water today.
Yeah.
H2O.
You know, dehydrated.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Anyways, so we're on episode 8, and we're closing this season out with episode 8, kind of like our pilot season for the For the One podcast. Kay and I have kind of been a little MIA the last few weeks, and there's just been a lot going on in our personal lives, trying to get jobs, as you've seen in previous episodes. Like, we've been going through with the jobs. I feel like we're at a turning point and things are finally starting to make progress, but with that being said, we just have really sat down and kind of thought about, like, well, what do we want to see this podcast do? You know, do we want to take some chances and do some things differently, maybe focus more on just YouTube? But we're actually going to just take a couple of weeks, you know, and really kind of try some different things, get settled into hopefully some new roles for our careers, and be able to present a different version of the For the One podcast for you guys, so that it's just able to speak to more things. We have a very diverse relationship, and like there's a lot of other things that we like to talk about outside of just relationships. So we're looking forward to being able to like sit down with God and like work together to kind of craft something new for you all for season 2. But we'll definitely keep talking about relationships. Don't worry about that. But we're excited to incorporate some new things as well.
Yeah, and so for today, we have a very special end of season 1 episode for you. We're going to share our story. We get asked about our story a lot. It's a long story, as you can tell. So we don't
tell it that many times.
Right, by the runtime, as you can tell. And so we get into the weeds here. We go back to 2013, I think, when we first really started getting to know each other. There's twists, there's turns, there's betrayal, there's decisions you're going to question. You're going to see me as a victim, and you're going to see me as a villain throughout the story. And you're going to see Adriana in the same way. Yeah. We're going to be changing roles. There's a lot to get into.
It's not romantic, y'all.
It's really not. It's honestly, especially early on, it's
chaotic.
It's chaotic, and it's like, how did these two end up together?
Successfully and in love.
Yeah.
And now it is romantic.
And celebrating this year, coming up on 10 years married. So if we can do it, y'all have hope. Please trust. So please enjoy the final episode of season 1 of the For the One podcast, our story. It's a long one, so if you got to put it on in the background, please do. But we hope that it edifies you, and if you have anything that you want to add, comment, share, whatever thoughts you have,
love you guys'
down below.
Feedback on what y'all think about our story.
Please do. So without further ado, let's jump into it. Yerba mate, the only good one.
Enlightenment.
I've tried like 3 of them, maybe 4.
I think there's only 3 flavors.
They've got enlightenment, they got the blueberry, they have a red one, and I think they have an orange one.
Oh, haven't had the orange.
Yeah, I think they have an orange. I know I've tried at least 3. And the only good one that I'm aware of is the enlightenment. So that's what we continue to do.
Just enough caffeine. Okay. So for our last episode of season 1, thought we'd finish it with a bang.
Let's go.
And we would take a peek into marriage on how we met, how we got together.
Can't tell you how many times we get asked about our story.
Yeah, it's just not a short story,
It's
so
not.
it's really hard to tell somebody a shortened version of it. All we could say is like we were friends at first, and then we started dating, and then we got married.
Yeah,
that's the quickest way to say what happened without saying how we actually met and got together.
Yeah. So where do you want us? I mean, we got to start at the beginning,
Start at the beginning.
I'll set the stage a little bit. So Adriana and I are we're both from Indiana.
Yeah.
We went to Ball State University together, entered at the same time, graduated at the same time, and we knew of each other / crossed paths freshman year, but there wasn't anything really to write home about.
When was the first time you met me?
So the first time I met you, I was meeting a mutual friend of ours at the library, and I forget what me and him were meeting about, but you and him were
poetry stuff.
Probably. Yeah. You and him were meeting at the same time, and I saw you, and I was like, "Who is this?" In my mind, she is fine. I don't think I had ever seen or really noticed. I don't know. Like, obviously, tons of students on campus, and you don't always cross paths with everybody, but this was, one of the conference rooms-ish in the library, and we sat down, and me and my, our mutual friend kind of talked it out. I don't know what you and him, you guys were probably talking about editing.
I was meeting him because we went to high school together, and he used to edit all of the videos I did in high school, and I was asking him, we were going to collaborate on some kind of project for some extracurricular, at school. And you were there. He said, "This is my friend Kane." I was like, "Okay, hi." And I literally moved on.
Yeah, I wasn't.
I was like, anyways, help me with this stuff.
Yes.
So, I don't remember if I saw you prior to that or if it was after that, because I think the first time I noticed you, because you noticed me there,
for sure.
First time I noticed you was when you were doing Alpha Apollo, and you were doing your poetry, and I think you got second place.
Yeah, I got second place the first time.
And I just remember being like, "Oh, he's really good." I was just thinking all these words and just sounds good.
All these words,
they were going well together. You were super into it. I mean, that was the only time that was the first time I noticed you.
Yeah.
I didn't think anything of you after that. I just thought that man is really good with words.
Yeah. So this is 2011, 2012.
Yeah, freshman year.
First semester, second semester of college. Cross paths a little bit. Nothing to really write home about.
Yeah.
I had my own stuff going on that I was dealing with from a relationship perspective that at least I was coming out of.
Yeah. From
and
high school.
Yeah. All I know is my mindset going into the second semester of freshman year was I'm focusing on college. Yeah. I'm not focused on any relationships.
Yeah.
And that held true until sophomore year.
Yeah. So sophomore year, let's see, where do we want? Okay, so I had a boyfriend the first semester, and we broke up over winter break. Mm-hmm. And I had 2012. I had Twitter at that time, so apparently you noticed me tweeting my heart out.
Bruh, you was going crazy.
I didn't even know that. It's just funny when we talk about our story, and realizing things that you picked up on that I had no idea because I wasn't thinking about you at the time. But it was just, yeah. So.
Well, I noticed you, and I thought I obviously was attracted to you. I was on Twitter a lot back then.
Yeah.
And so I was deep into the Twitter world, Black Twitter, all the things.
Yeah.
And you know, Adriana didn't tweet that much, and so when
Yeah.
she did, it stood out, and you were definitely pouring out your little soul.
I have no idea what I was saying, but anyways.
You was probably just tweeting like song lyrics and just like, can't believe these guys, can't trust nobody, stuff like that, you know.
I would love to look back and see what those said.
I don't even know if they're still up anymore.
That would be priceless.
If we can find it, we'll put it in, but
we're probably not gonna find it.
Probably not.
But anyway, so I'm coming back from winter break, and ironically enough, I was actually planning or trying to plan not to come back to school that next semester because my FAFSA didn't kick in and like something wasn't done right to where I was getting my tuition paid for or my Pell Grant, just the money that I needed to pay for school didn't come through. So I didn't want to use all my scholarship money to pay for the remaining balance because that was supposed to I had a plan to stretch it out over 4 years so I wouldn't have any student loan debt, and I was so strict about not having any debt, so I was not planning to go back. I was going to take that semester off and come back the next year, but God had other plans. So I did come back, and I at least told myself, all right, I'm not fooling with these dudes. I'm about to go study, get my grades up, because freshman year was tough.
yes.
Transitioning from high school and not having all that freedom, my grades plummeted. Those were the worst grades I've ever had in my life. And my parents said, we did not send you to school to be partying. We sent you to school to get good grades. So that was the end of my little party season. I had about a semester and a half of that.
Right.
My whole college career, and I was done. But so I go to the Atrium, which was our lunch cafeteria area.
This is January 2013.
Yeah, I'm in there, and I'm going there instead of the library purposely to make sure that I'm not talking to nobody, because I would just talk with people at the library and stuff.
So you would talk with people at the library, but the Atrium is notorious for...
Listen, I was at the Atrium because people was going to eat lunch there. I was going by myself to sit at a table to do my homework.
Okay.
The library, yes, is where you go to do homework and schoolwork.
But you also be chit-chatting.
But there's just everybody's there.
Yeah.
So I wasn't going there. I see Kane in his trench coat walking down, and I just go, "Oh, hey, Kane!" Like,
yeah. Did you see me perform at whatever the big event in the spring freshman year? No, the poetry thing. No. Okay, never mind. Go ahead.
I just said, "Hey, Kane," because we had seen each other in passing over freshman year a few times, and I would say hello. But
when another mutual friend of ours cut my hair.
Yes, I was
time.
at his dorm hanging out with him, and then he was cutting your hair.
That was the worst haircut of my life.
But so in passing, we had seen each other a few times, so it wasn't nothing to me to see you in the atrium, and I was like, "Hey, Kane," and then I ended up coming up giving you a hug, and I didn't think nothing of that, and I was just going to give you a hug and say, "Hey, how are you?" And then, okay, going back to do my studies. And I go back to do my studies, and this man follows me to my table.
That's how you see it. That's not how I see it. I am very one-track minded. I'm going about my business. I came down the atrium stairs or whatever. You said, hey, you got up and you gave me a hug. That took me by surprise because, yeah, we'd seen each other in passing, but we hadn't been like, we hadn't hugged or anything like that. It was literally
it was our first hug.
It was literally like, I don't know, like we have relationships, or at least in school, where it's like, hey, what's up, man? What's up? And that's it. You have a what's up relationship.
Yeah.
And that's it. And that's
what's up just included a hug this time. I'm just
right.
like, hey.
But knowing your personality and knowing my personality, my impression of that was, hey, Kane got up and gave me a hug. And that wasn't necessarily an invite to have a conversation, but it led to a conversation. Yeah. Like, hey, how's it going? Oh, I'm studying. I'm trying to get things done, blah, blah, blah.
So you came to sit down with me.
Yes.
And in my head, I'm like, no. Like, I'm trying to do my schoolwork. I didn't go to the freaking library to make sure I can get my schoolwork done. And then our friend Reggie, rest his soul, who passed, but he came at the time and he sat down with us too. And I'm like,
yeah,
I'm just trying to do my homework.
Right.
Like,
that's pretty privileged. All the dudes just want to come up and say what's up to you and like have a reason to talk to you.
Just like,
talking
Lord,
to Kane, I can jump into this conversation.
I literally tried, Lord, now look. So then I said, well, if he's here, I'm going to at least see if he's going to help me with an assignment because...
What a crazy thought.
because I need to get my work done.
Well, since he's here, let me see if if he can help me.
It was an interview assignment. So
from the beginning.
It was an interview assignment. So I said, hey, are you free to do an interview like later this week? Because I had an interviewing class. And I studied telecommunications and journalism. So I had an interviewing class. And you said, okay, yeah. So I went to your dorm a few days later and was conducting my interview, just asking questions, getting to know this young man. And Kane was very scholarly. He dressed in a button down like every time I saw him. He just looked like a professor. That's what I always would say, is I call him Professor Kane, because he just didn't look like anybody else that I would see.
This tall, skinny, 6'3" dude.
So skinny. And
with the
I
button-downs and all the
thought you
things.
were a grade older than me because
of how I carried myself.
Of how you carried yourself.
Yeah.
And mind you, Kane at the time was 19. I was 20. The last guy I had just broke up with, he was 19. And I said, never again will I ever date someone younger than me. I've tried it twice now. It's a no.
Right.
And so I'm interviewing you, and you said... You were just saying all these things that were intriguing.
You were just intrigued by my story.
I was intrigued by your story.
Because the interview was just about me, my background, how I grew up, and stuff like that.
I was just intrigued because, you know, you just seemed to be very mature for your age, and the things that you were saying were just interesting to me. And your roommate pops up from under the bed, and he's like, "What is this, a date?" And I was just like, "What?" I'm just asking these questions as an interview.
I could just hear him saying that too. What is this? A date? What are you guys doing?
Yeah. And so I left, finished the interview, and I think you reached out to me on
I was like,
Twitter.
let me know how it turns out.
Yeah, you said, let me know how the paper turns out. And I was like, there's no paper. It's just an interviewing class. So
okay.
I just had to interview, and that was it.
Did you record it?
No, I just You
took some notes?
Maybe I recorded. I don't know. I just know I was writing some answers down. I probably did record it and go back and but I just
so you didn't have to. How did you turn it in?
With the questions and answers. Like, this is what
okay.
it's just an interview.
Okay.
Yeah. And I know you were kind of shocked by that. You were like, oh, okay.
I figured it was gonna be a paper.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
This was entry level.
That's fine. That's fine.
interview
Yeah, I was.
class.
Yeah. I'm still surprised by it, apparently. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, from there, where do you remember from there, like, how we started, like, hanging out after that?
I think that was really the catalyst for our just getting to know each other. I think to my memory, that interview flipped a switch in, like, being open to me being a friend, like somebody that you could hang out with and talk to more. We exchanged numbers over Twitter.
Did we?
I think
Okay.
so.
Yeah, we did.
Over Twitter in the context of this interview. And you were like, hit me up sometime, or I was like...
I did say hit me up sometime.
Something like that.
Because I was intrigued.
Yeah.
But when he said he was 19, I was like, back up.
Yeah.
I was like, no, red flag. I already said I'm not fooling with no youngins again. I'm through with that.
But you couldn't help yourself.
But
You couldn't help yourself.
it was because the thing is, Kane, very much you were not my type at all. Nope. And we will make that clear many times on this conversation, but you were not my type. And
just so y'all know really quickly, like, this college season prior to us graduating is like the meat of how we got together. It's really the foundation for everything.
Yeah. So there was just things like that made me not want to even try to look at you in that way. It was your age, the fact that I
wasn't your type.
You were my type
because
you were skinny.
Number one,
you were very skinny.
Yeah,
and you you didn't have a scent.
Yep.
I was like, I like a man that smells good. Like, you just, like, don't smell like nothing.
Anything. Yeah.
And I don't appreciate that.
Nope.
And
broke life. I didn't know nothing about that.
I didn't know you was broke yet. I didn't know where you was from. Well, I guess I didn't really think about Gary when you said that, but
sure.
And you didn't. So when you told me, at first I thought you was a light-skinned black guy. And then when I saw your last name, I was like, interesting. So you told me you were half black and half Mexican. And your hair texture was really throwing me off.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking black and Mexican. Like, that's the perfect mix for some nice,
Bro,
coily
if you was on Pop the Balloon
locks.
back then, you would have popped so fast.
Oh, yeah, I would have popped for sure.
Would you have popped on immediate, like, first sight, or would you have popped?
If you were like how you are now, no. If you were like how you were then, probably yes.
That's wild. Okay, go ahead.
Because, I mean, Kane, you were so thin at that time.
Didn't seem to be a problem for a period of time. Anyway, continue.
So, anyways, you just, like, didn't have, like, the swag I was looking for.
Yeah.
So it was all shallow stuff. Very much shallow. And the hair thing, the reason that I had such an issue with your hair is because of traumatic, like, I don't want to say traumatic, but kind of, like, just things growing up where your
hair insecurities were projected on your partners.
My hair insecurities were tied to, I need to meet and marry a man that has a certain type of hair texture or a certain grade of hair so that my future kids won't have to deal with the things that I dealt with and feeling like they're not as beautiful because they don't have a certain texture of hair.
Right.
So, you know, I'm over here praying, God, please send me, like, you know, a Hispanic brother. And he does, but
no.
Not with what I was looking for.
For people that have no idea, like, I've got some kind of waves going right now.
Don't be fooled by the waves right now.
This is, so hold on, let me finish. I used to have waves in high school because I would brush my hair down a lot, but I didn't know how to take care of my hair. And so my hair is very thick. It is very wiry, and not taking care of it is very dry.
Right.
And so it's just like a very rough sponge when it grows out.
It doesn't have much of a curl pattern.
Yeah, it doesn't have a curl pattern. It's very
like
wiry.
Straight wiry. Like, I tell people, think about
it's like wool.
I think about a bobby pin and the little ripply part on the bobby pin. Like, that's what his hair texture is like.
Yeah, but really thick. And
except for his baby hairs, he got nice edges around his head.
And it feels like wool. It feels just like dense. I don't know how dense wool is, but probably not as dense wool.
Yeah.
So.
But
anyways, you didn't like that. You wanted the soft curls.
Locks,
I can't think of, like, a Corbin Blue. That's just always the first person I think
Jason
of.
Tatum.
Just in terms of the hair texture.
Yeah, that would have been ideal. But
correct.
It's okay.
It is okay.
The Lord has
we had to break some things
He has
off
worked
of you.
some things out of me, and it's for the best.
Correct.
So he couldn't have done that if he would have gave me what I wanted. So anyways, let's get back on topic. we started hanging out
mid to late January into February.
Yeah, we started hanging out. I recognized Kane was smart. And I'm going to be honest. Like, I'm going to be very raw and truthful. People can think what they want about me, but it was just, at the time, I'm 20 years old, and I have dated a certain kind of guy, or I've been interested, at least, in a certain kind of guy. But Kane was very intellectually stimulating for me, and I felt like in the past, like, I was smart. Like, I played sports, I was in extracurricular activities, I was well-rounded, I had a good GPA overall, usually like a 3.5 in high school. And so parents loved me when I was dating their, sons, because I was smart, well-rounded girl, Christian girl. I was like ideal situation, I guess.
Girl next door.
Yeah. And but the guys, I always felt like I was more intellectually, like, driven than most of the guys I dated. And not that they weren't, smart, but I could just see, like, I was thinking differently and wasn't always challenged in the ways that, like, the Lord probably knew I needed to be challenged. So talking to you, like, really stimulated me. But I was, like, kind of embarrassed to, like, be seen with you, because in my mind, I'm like, he's not my type. Like, he's giving kind of lame, and I don't really want people to know I'm, like, hanging out with him, like, or that I might be interested in him. So there was, like, this kind of want to keep him behind closed doors, and that's just the truth. And I know any woman who has had options in the past growing up, and you sometimes took advantage of a nice guy because they were interested in you, and it's wrong, but that was where I was at the time.
Yeah.
And because I wasn't sure, I had come out of that last relationship and I had actually spent time with God and said, I don't want to be with the next guy that I date. I want him to be my best friend first. Mm-hmm. I do not want to keep falling into these traps and these cycles of dating like the same kind of guy who's not taking me serious when I say I don't want to have sex till I get married, and who is just not, looking at me as potential wife. And I was like, I'm okay with being single until I'm 28, and at that time I was 20, so like the next 8 to 10 years, if that's what it takes, God, like I just don't want to keep going through these heartbreaks over and over again, because there was a cycle. It'd be like every 2 to 3 months of talking to somebody, it wouldn't work out because I wasn't putting out. So I knew that I was going to have to take a different approach with things, and I didn't want to just, if I think I'm interested in him, like, let me try to start talking to him, and then, I might kiss you or whatever. And then I just was like, I need to be very sure about this person before I make it any more than like a friendship. And you were just a very interesting situation for me, because I had never...
Just not in public.
What do you mean?
Like, you didn't want to be seen to be in public?
No, but I'm saying, like, just you as a person were an interesting situation for me, because I had never been interested in somebody that I didn't want to be interested in. Yeah. So
you saw potential.
Yeah, I saw, but I had seen potential in other guys, but it was just like I was just attracted to them. Yeah. Like it was more fleshly, lustful, just like chemistry, attraction, whatever. Yeah. All the stuff people care about that's not really important. Yeah. But there was something about like when I would spend time with you and you would help me with my homework, because I had just figured out I had ADHD and like was really struggling with things, and like you would take the time and just help me figure stuff out. And I mean, to a certain degree, like I took advantage of the situation.
Yeah, we'll get there. So
you go.
Hold on. Just slow down. So I just want to like make sure people are following along with the timeline so far. Okay. So between like mid-January into February, we're communicating, talking pretty regularly, I think. Yeah. And I'm helping you with your homework. Yes. We're seeing each other. At the time, early on, I'm like, oh, this is just a way for me to hang out with Adriana because she's cute. I like her. I like getting to know her. And if she needs help, I'm happy to help. Yeah. Not realizing that like that would eventually turn into you taking advantage of the situation. But with just we're getting to know each other. You're wrestling with what you think about me. I'm in a way like I know I'm attracted to you, but I don't really know where we're going or where we stand. Mm-hmm. And we're just kind of feeling things out. It doesn't really have any true like intention behind it quite yet, at least early on. But I do know that there's a line in the sand with respect to Valentine's Day, the first one. So I don't remember all the details, and you'll have to fill in the gaps. But all I know is that by the time February kind of rolls around, we're hanging out enough to know that we are trying to figure out whether or not like we like each other enough to date each other. Right. And you are, but we're not in a committed anything. Yeah. So nothing's really going on. Like I helped you with your homework. You're trying to figure me out. I'm trying to figure you out, et cetera, et cetera.
You came, I think it was before or after Valentine's Day, but you came with me to get my first tattoo.
I don't remember if that was before, but it was in that ballpark. Yeah. I feel like it was probably before.
Yeah, and like this is the thing, like there was another guy I was interested in, and I wanted him to go with me, but I knew like Kane would come because I knew he liked me. So it was just funny because the tattoo I got was a symbol that stood for patience and calmness, and that's what I was wanting the Lord to help me, is to be patient and calm with the timeline of when I meet the man that I'm supposed to get.
Was that the extra bit? Not just patience and calmness in general, but specifically with the man?
Yeah. That's literally
I didn't know that. I knew the patience and the calmness. I didn't know it was tied to.
Yes, I wanted God to help me
your relationship
to be reminded.
Status.
I was like, I'm gonna get this tattoo. It's gonna remind me to be patient and calm. Whenever I look down at it, I'll see it, and just to be patient about this process when it comes to who's going to be my husband. And
he'd have to, that's crazy because he had you be patient and calm in a very different way than what you were probably thinking.
And it's just funny because the guy who wanted to come with me was not he didn't come, you came.
Right. That's how God works. So I got moves. He's like, I literally got to force this orchestration because what you want is not in alignment with my will for your life. But Valentine's Day, all I know is that I really screwed up Valentine's Day. I didn't do jack our first.
You took me to
What did I do?
that thing on campus.
Oh, yeah.
You took me to this.
Oh, yeah.
It was some Valentine's thing.
I did try something. I thought I didn't do anything. Yeah, so there's a Black Student Association, and they put on this event, and it was not.
I said, they are not putting that on my face.
What was it?
It was something, they were doing like facials or whatever. It
just wasn't good.
It was not good. And I was like, this is what he come up with? Like, yeah. And I was broke, and I like tried to really think about something to like get you, and that's why I was pissed about it. I was just like, man, this sucker.
But this is like a microcosm of the back and forth and the tension early on. Is like, I like him, I don't like him. I think I like him, but he doesn't fit my criteria.
And because like I didn't feel like you were taking initiative to pursue.
Correct.
And that was something like big for me. I'm like, if a man is interested in me, like he needs to make it clear. And like I just felt like you were shy and like you didn't. I feel like I had to always make a first move, and that kind of stuff irritated me because it's like I want to be feminine. Like I don't want to feel like I have to take charge of these things.
Yeah, and I think part of it was that like not being I wasn't like terribly assertive. Like I didn't really was not trying to, and I feel like I'm a lot more assertive now about a lot of things.
Way more now.
And so it's hard for me to put myself back into
timid
my mindset. I wouldn't say I was timid. I would just say I probably just nonchalant. Like I think that I was not trying to be indifferent, but I was like,
you didn't want to.
I didn't want to push the envelope.
Yeah, you didn't want to take a risk.
Yeah, I didn't want to take a risk. I wanted to focus on school. I'm like, if you like me, cool, and that's how it was. And then like I'll reciprocate, but it wasn't like. Yeah. I'm gonna go out on a limb to risk being
and for
heartbroken.
Me, I'm like, that's what I find attractive. Like a man that knows what he wants, a man that smells good, a man that's like, like I want her.
Yeah.
Like that,
Yeah, and that's fine. You can have that preference. I think that.
But the guy was like, you don't need that right now, Adriana.
That can be developed. It can be nurtured in different ways.
Focus on the important things.
That's one of the big lessons of our relationship is how much can be nurtured and how much can change in your partner and your significant other over time.
Yeah.
'Cause there's a lot that can change in a person. You're supposed to grow together.
Yeah.
And so Valentine's Day was a bust. And again, it just speaks to this will we, won't we, back and forth kind of thing where we never really found our footing. And I'm fast forwarding a little bit. I believe spring break was in March. And so we reach a point right before spring break. Oh.
Was this when I had to do that assignment?
You tell me.
So I had this assignment that was due because it was an online class, and I literally didn't do any of the online class, and it was due like in a week. And so I came over and asked you to help me do the assignment because I had to do the whole class in a week because they let you do it at your own pace versus like there were certain things due at a certain time. So I came over to your dorm and you helped me knock it out, and I think you were just really fed up with me at that point because...
Was that before spring break or was that the end of the year? It had to have been before spring break.
I think it was before spring break because it was... Even if the timeline's wrong, the point is that this is kind of where you were fed up with me. I was kind of like, I really am interested in this other guy.
Because I'm helping you with your homework, just work in general.
Yeah.
A lot. Like it didn't take too long. Like a lot happened in the span of like 6 weeks, 6 to 7 weeks from January to March or whatever it is. But I think that was like, we just reached a point, whether it was from that or from something else. That might have been one of the big things.
It was like, that was for you. I was interested in talking to another guy. I was like, I'm not really feeling Kane. He's not assertive enough. Like, he's not, I don't know if I want to be seen in public with him. Like, I don't know. Like, it's just too many I don't knows and not enough for sures of how I feel about him. And it was like going on spring break. We were like, okay, we had a conversation. We're like, let's just be friends. Like,
we agreed to
let's just be cool. And so I went home.
Yep.
You were still on campus, I think.
No, I think I went home.
Well, no, because you met old girl.
That was when we got back, I thought.
I don't know. I just know I thought it was a weekend, but either way, I come back and I hit you up and
I did stay.
I think you stayed.
Yeah.
I came back, hit you up, And
well, let me tell my part of that first,
okay,
and then you can tell, and then you can jump in. Okay. So we agreed to be friends prior to spring break. We're good, settled, agreed, cool, no harm, no foul, live our lives. Right before or like right at the beginning of spring break, prior to Adriana and I doing that interview in January, the previous semester, so whenever that was, the previous semester, there was a different girl that caught my eye, and she worked at a Jamba Juice and
on campus.
And I thought she was cute, and there were some things that I did for her.
Yeah, you shot
my shot with her initially. It didn't go anywhere at the time in the first semester. So spring break rolls around. That girl's like best friend at the time reaches out to me, I think on Facebook, and is like, "Hey,
old girl,
she's curious, she would like your number, blah blah blah, something along those lines. Like she wants to hang out, see you, or something like that. She wants to connect." And this is immediately after,
like literally,
within a day or two or something, very very shortly after Adriana and I agreed to be friends. And so I'm like, cool, that's fine with me. Yeah, like I thought she was cute to begin with, and maybe things will just go different than how things went with Adriana these past 8 weeks or however long it was. And so me and this girl meet up. We go to like a proper lunch date or something like that.
Yeah, you took her on a date.
Yeah, we hung out and
the disrespect, y'all.
Yeah, during this whole time, Adriana and I
didn't take me on not one date,
not at all.
Time.
So from January to March, we've been going back and forth trying to figure this thing out. No dates. And the first thing I do with this girl that I met 1 or 2 times prior to was ask her out to a lunch date or something like that. So spring break ends. Adriana comes back.
I hit you up.
You hit me up, and I share this information, and then what happens?
And I was like, oh, cool. Like, that's what's up. Well, hope things work out. And I go home. And so for me, when things like break off with the guy in the past, especially because most of these guys I had been dating in college, like, were brief. Like, they weren't more than 2 or 3 months. So it took me about a week to get over it. I'm like, okay, whatever. So when Kane shares this information with me, I'm literally, like, pacing in my room, my dorm, and I'm just thinking to myself, what the heck?
You are blown away.
I was like, this Negro that took her out on a date. I've been fooling with him.
That was really the trigger.
That really, really set me off.
I think it's a funny to play a what if scenario. Like, what if we went on a date? Like, would you have felt any different? Yeah,
I think that, like, I was still, I don't know, but all I know it was like,
the date got you.
It really, really rubbed me the wrong way, because I'm like, this man been saying, like, he been interested. I know he interested in me. Right. And he hasn't tried to take me out on a date. For Valentine's Day, he blew it. Like, he is just, what is going on?
Yeah.
So I just started thinking about it, and I knew I had done some jacked up stuff. I knew that I was playing this man and, like,
not wanting to see me in public.
Yeah.
Like not wanting to be seen with me in public.
About
taking advantage of my studious brain and helping, like, pulling all-nighters with you.
Yeah, he was helping.
Frequently. Like, weekend into weekend.
Yeah.
And I got my own stuff. I'm slacking on my grades. Yeah. I'm slacking on my work.
Like, I recognize, like, I have a lot of fault. So I really feel like it was the Holy Spirit, because I thought to myself, what if he starts dating this girl and I see them in this beautiful relationship, because I know Kane's a good guy. Like, he's got great character, and there's things that I'm just hung up on because I'm young and immature in that area. So, but what if, the things that I've been praying about and, asking God for, what if he ends up giving it to that girl and it could have been me? Like, I'm going to be salty because that could have been me, but I was playing games. So I hit you up. I don't know if we met in person, probably. And I just basically said, like, I know that I know I kind of messed up, and I know that, when I realized things wasn't going to work out with the other guy, I recognize that I did like Kane. I wanted to give you a chance, a real chance. And I told you, I was like, I want you to truly get to know me, like Adriana, who's actually interested in getting to know you, because it's a different Adriana. The Adriana I've been presenting to you is the Adriana I present to people that I'm not really fully invested in. And
which is wild, but go ahead.
Because it's just sometimes, like I'm telling you, like women know, like when you're young and immature and like somebody feeling you, and they whether they won't leave you alone about it, and it's just like I keep telling them no, and they keep pursuing, it's just fine, like you can do something for me, and you just go with it or whatever. It was a slightly different for you because, like I said, you were intellectually stimulating for me, but it's just one of those things, like when you're not really feeling it like that, but they're feeling you, sometimes you just act out of character and just let them do what they want to do, pursue you, because they won't let it go. And I thought you were a kind person, so there was so many things I did like about you that were intriguing and interesting to me. It just I didn't know if there could be like a romantic side to that.
Yeah.
And so I didn't really know.
This is a big pivot. This is like act 2 of our relationship situation.
Yeah, and
because things take a turn from
here.
here.
3x. So
yeah, whatever. I don't know.
So I told you, because I messed up, and now you're interested in this other girl. Why don't you date both of us?
Right.
Because then you can kind of figure out who you're really interested in, and then you can just pursue that person. But I want you to get to know me for real this time, and see what you think, and if that's, someone you want to spend your time with.
From that point on,
it
was a very different Adriana. It was still the homework side of things, but you demonstrated that you were very interested in me.
Yeah.
But I was very skeptical because your interest comes from the jealousy of a what if. Like, what if, I don't think I knew this at the time.
No.
But it's still, I could still sense that
I don't want him to be with her. So,
right. And so I'm like, my eyebrow
forward.
is raised, my spidey senses are tingling. I'm like, oh, okay. And I'm trying to remember some of the conversations I had with my boys at the time. It was really just like, what you gonna do? I'm like, I don't know. We just gonna date them both and figure it out. So this is late March into April. And during this time, I'm just trying to remember like any details that I can, but the overall vibe was much different. You enjoyed hanging out with me. Yeah, I did. Yeah. I enjoyed hanging out with you. We had good conversations. I'm pretty sure we watched church like a few times. Yeah. And it didn't feel like I was getting the stiff arm treatment.
Yeah.
I know that we kissed for the first time, and that really surprised you.
Yeah, I was like, whoa.
Yeah, that took you aback. That I knew what I was doing.
Yeah, I just
on
couldn't
any level.
see it. I couldn't.
That was the other thing. It was just like you just could not fathom the idea of
because I just felt like he was like a nerd. Like
I am a nerd.
Yeah, but I just couldn't. I couldn't see it. It just
I just dressed more like a professor nerd.
So different from what I typically would go after. So
you just couldn't get these blinders off.
I really couldn't.
And it took experiences for us to be able to break through that. Now during this time, there are also things that we will not get like explicit about. We didn't like. The technical virgin piece is really where this kind of stretched out, and won't get into the weeds. But go ahead.
To me, like I knew that I was getting intimate with Kane in ways that I shouldn't have.
Correct.
Because as long as I didn't go all the way, it just in my mind I was justifying it because the Lord He probably was trying to convict me, but I wasn't.
Your heart was not.
My heart didn't know how to be convicted by it truly.
Correct.
It's like I could tell looking back, Holy Spirit was trying to communicate with me, but I didn't know how to interpret. Yeah. So, and it was like maybe a year or so later that I finally got the full revelation of like, oh, you can't be doing that. Correct. So I knew that I was doing things with Kane, and then I think subconsciously it was, I wanted to, but it was also, I think, if I'm doing these things with him, and I think like he's really serious about me, and he's gonna choose me over old girl, because they're not doing anything, like they haven't even held hands, so like I'm winning. And I saw you texting her one day when we were hanging out at your dorm, and I told you, like, because I really was like really starting to like you a lot, and I didn't like that you were texting her. Like, it made me uncomfortable, it made me jealous, because I really wanted you to be my man. And I asked, like, can you decide like who you'd want to be with? Like, what do you see if you're when you're with me? What do you see as far as a future with me, and what do you see a future with her? Do you remember what you said?
Was this in the library?
No. This was when we were at your dorm, because I had seen you texting her.
Not quite.
You said, I can see us having a really good relationship. Like, I can see, a solid, just good relationship, and I feel confident in that here. And with her, I don't know, it's just something, different or unique about her that I haven't experienced before. And so
a lot of the idea of the unknown and the possibility versus like what I felt was a known quantity at this point.
And I said, okay, well, I really like you, and it's actually making me uncomfortable now, like you dating and getting to know her. It's making me jealous. I don't like that feeling. So I would like you to make a decision of who you want to actually pursue. I don't know how long it was in between, like maybe a couple days.
I think it was a weekend, basically.
But you first decided you were going to pursue me. No, that's okay. Back up. So when we had that conversation, we had already had a conversation before, and had said that you were going to pursue me. And you said you were going to pursue me, but then I had seen you text her again, and I was just, I don't want you to text her, because if you're going to pursue me and we're going to work towards a relationship, it makes me uncomfortable. I need you to actually to make it. I want you to cut it off, because you had strong feelings for her, and nothing was happening between y'all. And so, and we're actively intimate in different ways, and I don't like that. So I don't, and you know how I feel about sharing my body with anybody. So Kane was the first person that I had ever dated when I told him, like, I don't want to have sex before marriage. And when he said that he was okay with that, he was the first guy I genuinely believed was okay with that. Guys had said that to me before, and I'm like, we'll see. And that was when that 2 to 3 month hit, and it was just like, okay, no, she's for real. So I know I had shared my body with Kane in ways that I knew I probably shouldn't have, but because I feel like in the back of my mind, it was kind of like, hopefully this is going to help me secure the man. And it backfired on me. So we ended up, when I talked to you about you texting her, and it made me uncomfortable because I had read the text messages or something while you stepped to the bathroom or whatever. And I said, just take a weekend, like we'll meet in the library or something, and like let's not talk this whole weekend, but you really think about which direction you want to go. And
this is mid to late April-ish, somewhere in there.
And met you in the library and waiting for your decision. And what did you say?
So we sit down, we have this face-to-face. I've thought about it. I've talked about it with my friends, and like in The Bachelor, except the other girl wasn't there, have to decide between two love interests. I ended up choosing the other girl. I ended up telling you that I was going to pursue her, and that I probably said that I was sorry and some other things, but ultimately I ended up picking the other girl, and I know that created another rift in our relationship at the time. Just to recap the journey so far really quickly, it's like January to Valentine's Day to spring break, there's one foot in, one foot out. She doesn't like me. She's using me to get homework done. She doesn't want to be seen with me in public. She has a problem with my hair. She doesn't like the way that I dress. I like her, and I am submitting myself as like a doormat. Like, just, I like being around you. I like you. And I was, honestly, it was not very masculine behavior. Like it was like I was letting you take advantage of me because
you
I liked you enough.
felt like I was out of your league too.
I did.
About
and
that.
I was just playing the nice guy role.
Yeah.
Like I was very much that stereotypical
whatever she wants, like
stereotypical nice guy for sure. And that reached a breaking point prior to spring break. Spring break ends and this other girl comes back into the mix. Adriana gets jealous. This is again day in, day out. Like it's really hard to stress like this felt like a long time because it was because this was every day, like texting back and forth, phone calls, school stuff happening in between. And so by the time mid to late April kind of rolls around and we had done things that you wouldn't have been comfortable with anybody else and, you know, obviously didn't cross the line, but got very close to it a number of times. That was something that was very personal and emotional and spiritual for you.
Yeah.
And I recognized the weight of it, even if I didn't share it at the time to the same degree that you did. I respected it as much as I could. And if I actually respected it, I would have done a better job.
Yeah.
That's neither here nor there. But now we're at this stage where with the other girl, like you were been alluding to, we barely have held hands. Like we've hung out here and there. We really bonded over like music and arts and stuff and just had a good connection in terms of conversation. But there was a lot of mystery there and there's a lot that I didn't know. And I was very intrigued by that. So by the time we get to this meeting, this final who gets the rose conversation, even though the other girl is not there, I ended up giving you the boot. And that was...
Not the boot.
Yeah, that was
and I was
bad.
honestly shocked because I did not think that was going to happen because at that point, if people had seen us, because I'm in public with you, like holding your hand and stuff, like people would think that like we're together.
For sure.
And so when you told me that, I told you at the library when we had the conversation, I was like, I honestly am like really kind of like disgusted with you, or I'm like really disappointed because you knew how important like me keeping myself, you know, and not doing certain things was, and now you feel like just like every other guy. And I actually believed that you were different. And even though I like, you know, took it out on you because like I was equally responsible, but it was just the feeling that of trust kind of being broken to me. And so I remember going home to my place and went to my friend's house and I was bawling my eyes out. Like I felt so much shame because I knew like at the end of the day, like I did something I shouldn't have did. Like that's not how God would want me to operate. And once again, it just shows like you giving your body is not going to secure anything. And this girl clearly didn't do anything with him and like he was still stimulated by her intellectually or whatever. And that's who was able to get him to cross over to this side or whatever. And yeah, it was very disappointing. It was really sad and I was so hurt. And I just knew like God was communicating something to me at that time where he was saying, this is why this is in covenant. Like you don't do these kind of things outside because it leads to heartbreak and heartache because yes, it might have felt good in the moment, but what did it lead to anything? And obviously like we know now, like we got married, but that's not typically the case of what happens. I think the Lord was trying to teach me something in that moment, so that when we were going to go forward in our relationship, that we weren't continuing to do like those same things. So anyways,
then understand that and that the turbulence that happened, and then I just want to make sure we share the story of like, so I'm very involved on campus. I'm performing, I'm doing like poetry and stuff. And I got tagged prior to all of this. Like I got tagged to like host this fashion show event or something like that. The fashion show isn't important. What's important is that Adriana and her friends showed up to this fashion show that I was on stage hosting and like doing the run of show. And there's a point in the run of show where like midway through or something like that, basically I
didn't speak to you for like a week. Like I didn't want to talk to you. I didn't want to look at you. Like I was just like really pissed off and hurt. So the fashion show was like towards the end of that week. And go ahead.
There was a point in the show where we brought audience members up to come and walk there, you know, and do the walk. Now, me being the host, I get to pick who comes up here. And so I fully aware of Adriana's emotional state, right now. And when I work the crowd to figure out, say, who wants to come up here and walk the runway or whatever, Adriana's hand shoots up, and I think your friends were
yeah,
pointer, yeah.
There was a lot of them pointing at me too,
and I was yeah.
And I was doing some modeling at that time.
This is true.
So
you had practice, you were experienced. So I don't know who. It's not important who else got up there. But I remember sitting on the edge of the stage, and I remember calling you, you back, Adriana back there, come up.
I don't think you said my name. You said you back there.
Yeah, whatever. But I could have not picked you. I could have been really petty and not picked you, but I did pick you, and there was a couple other girls that got up, and you guys went up there, and you just made sure to really strut your stuff.
I was like,
show me your face,
I looked good that day,
and show me what I was missing.
Yeah.
That was what all of that was about. And I knew that that's what that was about at the time. I don't know why y'all think that, guys. Well, maybe some guys don't know. I knew that.
Don't matter. You just needed to be reminded.
Correct. And so I just wanted to make sure we got that in there, because it's a funny, petty backlash moment that I knew what it was.
How'd you feel, though? When I was walking down, in sophomore year, I was looking good. I look back at those pictures I see why this man was putting up with my crap, because I look good.
I remember, because it's an inside joke. It's between us. It's not like you embarrass me in front of everybody. It's just I know, we know between the two of us. And so I probably felt pride on one hand. She's trying to show me up right now. That's whatever. Okay. And on the other hand, she do look good, though. She's making her point, and that's, fair enough. More power to you. So some mix of those feelings is probably what I felt at that time.
Yeah, because I think that was a Friday or a Saturday. And then after the show, I didn't say anything to you after that, but I texted you and asked, did you want to come over and watch church with me that Sunday? And you came over, and we watched church. And
what was it? Do you remember anything about just after that moment, your process through the week, and what prompted you to what gave you the space to invite me to watch church?
So during the week, I'm just going through the emotions of just feeling really stupid. Why did I, even suggest that he date both of us? Why did I, go that far with you? I was really reflecting on me making a mistake again, and knowing that you shouldn't be using your body in these ways or allowing anybody to have access to your body like this. And even though I had always had the boundary of I'm not going all the way, it still was like I said, I think just the Holy Spirit communicating, and me not fully being able to have it tangible words of fleeing from sexual immorality means everything, not just the act of vaginal intercourse, everything. Yeah. And so anyways, I was just processing that, because it just really felt like you were different, and I really enjoyed my time with you, and getting to you just felt I don't know, one of my best friends at that time. I just really enjoyed spending time with you, and it just felt very special. And to see it end up just like every other person that I was dealing with that didn't feel as special was just really hurtful. So I was processing that. And then after the fashion show, I think overall I was pretty mature for my age. I had immature, thought processes, but out of a lot of my friend group, I feel like I was pretty mature, and I was able to process and say there was a lot of things I made mistakes about, and I want to try to involve God in this process as much as I can. I know that Kane isn't necessarily, deep in his faith, but he's open. So you came over, I invited you to come over for church, and you said, okay, you came over. And after the church, I just felt like it just kind of opened up the space. Usually anytime pretty much every time you invite God into something, it just opens up the space for vulnerability and to be authentic and real. And I basically told you that normally when you get done with somebody like that, like, you just don't talk to them anymore. You just move on with your life, or you see them and say, hey, what's up? But you just recognize this is just something that's been going to be left in the past, unless you're going to do like that in between, like, breakup situation where you're still fooling with them. And I'm not that kind of person. If we're done, then like we're done.
Yeah.
So unless like there is intent to get back together, there's not this in between with me. And I wanted to see if you would be open to still being friends, because I didn't like the idea of us not ever speaking again. Like, I knew that you had good character and that there was something about you that I was drawn to and that I hadn't experienced with anybody else. So, and I would think back to, like, I literally wasn't trying to like be more than that with you, but I just knew I didn't want to lose you as a friend. And there were things that you had said, like when we were getting to know each other, that we always talk about now, where you said, what'd you say at the library?
Oh, gosh. Did you ever consider that your future spouse or husband would come in a package that you didn't expect? Something along those lines.
Yeah, or it would come in a different package or something like that. And when you said that to me, that sounded like the most profound words I'd ever heard.
Clearly, because it's stuck for 10 plus years.
Because at the time,
you were like, no.
It's like, no. Like, I know what I'm attracted to and what I think is going to have good chemistry physically. So no, I didn't think that the man.
And that was profound to me, because I'm like, you didn't ever think that?
No, it's not necessarily that he had to look a specific way, but that he would have certain features and I would be attracted to him from the get.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be a development of, I find myself attracted to this person, like very attracted to this person now.
Yeah.
That was a profound thought to me.
And that was early on. That was before a lot of stuff.
Yeah, that was very,
but that was like a
one of our
seed that
first
planted.
Conversations. Yeah,
that was a seed that was planted that grew very quickly over the course of
which
a
is
few
probably
months.
why it allowed us to me try to look at you differently. But
what if I didn't ask that question? Go ahead.
But you were open to being friends, and why were you open to being friends?
Are you asking me right now?
I know.
I think that just like we were good friends. Like, I enjoyed, just similar to you, like I enjoyed our time together. I enjoyed hanging out with you. I enjoyed your presence and what you were going for, and like seeing all the things that you were pursuing and doing and how ambitious you were and are. And I wanted some of that in my life. And then from the faith perspective, that was another big thing was, I'm coming from a space where, like, I was baptized when I was a baby because I was a Catholic, and had a lot of a stint in my life where, I would have considered myself, in hindsight, not at the time, in hindsight, agnostic. You were obviously very concerned about making that a priority, obviously, like, much younger, and so there's a lot that I didn't know, but you were much further along than anybody that I had ever met. And I was very open and very curious about that, and wanting to get closer to God, and or at least being open to trying it. And you were a shortcut to being introduced and led to what does it look like to follow Christ in any capacity, specifically in college. So for all those reasons, like, I wanted to make sure that we stayed close.
Yeah, that's good to know. I don't think I really asked you that before.
Yeah.
But so yeah, that's why I reached out to you after the fashion show, because I just didn't want to lose you as a friend, and we just continued to hang out, and I tried not to really ask about your other.
She was never my girlfriend. Like,
No.
we never actually officially dated or made anything official ever. It was always just like texting, hanging out here and there and stuff like that, but nothing was ever official.
And then at the end of the year, like the day before we were moving out, because this was in May, so it was only a few weeks later, because that was in April, the fashion show. We were hanging out, and then we ended up kissing, and I think you were like, oh man, like, I shouldn't have did that. And I'm like, just in this phase where I'm trying to go with the flow.
Yeah.
And that is very not me. I'm not trying to go with the flow.
No.
I'm like, I need to have a goal, and we're going to be focused on that goal.
Correct.
But I didn't want to, I just didn't want to risk like you not wanting to continue to talk to me, hang out with me.
Because there's still tension there. Like we're friends, but like obviously
we've already crossed that line.
We've crossed the line, and it's like we know, like for anybody, it's really, unless you either never cross that line or that chemistry just is gone, it's really, really difficult to maintain a platonic friendship after you've crossed a certain line. Yeah. Like it's been done, it can be done, but it's few and far between.
Yeah.
And for us, it was what most people fall into.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was literally the next day we were going home. We were moving back to our homes before summer break. And I'd said, I think we should write letters to each other. Yeah. We should write letters. We should just write letters to each other throughout the summer and, just keep in touch that way. And we did that for a while. We would only talk on the phone in the evenings, but we would write letters to each other.
We only exchanged like 2 or 3 letters.
Yeah, it was going great until my sister-in-law threw away my letter.
She didn't mean to.
I was like, what the?
Yeah, so I didn't have anything to respond to.
I wrote such a long letter, and I was looking forward to getting my letter back, and it was done for. I was trying not to be mad, but I was like, okay. Yeah. But luckily, I mean, eventually I asked a question about the girl that you had chosen to pursue, and I just wanted to know how it was going, because we were talking every day. Yeah. And we had our letters we were writing at the time, and so it fizzled out. Yep. But I wanted to know how it was going, just out of curiosity, as your friend. Yeah. And what did you say?
I said that I mean, I don't remember what exactly I said, but it was basically like that fell off, like that died, that is no longer a thing. She, if I'm remembering correctly, like she ended up getting back with one of her exes. And once summer break happened, the communication fell off a cliff with her. Yeah. Like I would text her and I wouldn't get a response back for a really long time. It was just very few and far between.
And I basically like, Kane, you were the rebound. Like she was rebounding.
Correct.
Off of you.
And so came to that realization, and this is May. This is May-ish. Yeah. And so that I communicated that to you. We're still talking. What did you think at the time? Because we didn't start dating yet. That would come later. Because I would get a summer job on campus, and then things would happen. But before that, when I first gave you the news, what do you remember about that?
I just
You're probably like,
yeah. In my mind, I'm like,
it's my turn.
I told you, I'm like, oh, like I'm so sorry to hear that. Like, it's her loss or whatever. I mean, I if that's who you really wanted to pursue, like, I wanted you to be happy, but we were having such a good time talking, communicating, and getting to know each other that I think I eventually brought up, like, well, what do you, like, think about us, like, trying to give it a shot again and, like, getting to know each other and working towards, dating, like, becoming boyfriend and girlfriend or whatever. And you were open to it.
Yeah. I was very open to it. And this is where things start to, the plane is kind of landing in terms of our relationship, where we don't have all this back and forth. But rewind back to, summer break, like, after sophomore year, in around mid to late May. It had already been a couple of weeks of summer break. It wasn't that long. But I got a job as a camp counselor at this summer scholars program that I had attended when I was in high school, and was very meaningful for me, and was the main reason why I ended up going to Ball State. And so for the whole summer, that was my summer job. I was back on campus, and we again were talking very, very regularly. Yeah,
we have now since left from just the nightly calls to throughout the day.
Correct. Again, nothing official yet, but the first week there, I think this was like the end of May, the first week of June. That first weekend of June. We're talking, we're communicating, and you drive from Indianapolis up to Muncie, Indiana, where Ball State is, to come see me, to come hang out, to catch up, and all these things. And you pick it up from there.
Because it was June 3rd, right?
June 3rd is the day.
It's July or June.
It was June, yeah.
And we had kind of talked about it. I was like, are you going to ask me to be your girlfriend or whatever?
Something like
that. And so I'm there. We're hanging out in your little dorm. And I'm just like, so are you going to ask me?
Yeah. Again,
like,
not taking initiative, not pursuing, not pushing the envelopes, nothing.
Like all the way up until our marriage. Like,
and honestly, it took me a while.
Me to marry you?
It took me a long time, because now that is like, for a long time that story, that version of me didn't bother me, but now it does.
Yeah, I'm like,
that version of me is, you need to get it together.
Yeah,
because I'm just much more like decisive now.
Yeah.
I was decisive. You're indecisive about things. I'm decisive about things, but I was very.
You weren't assertive.
I wasn't assertive about things, and now I'm a lot more. I just ain't got time for this kind of
Yeah.
stuff. We need to know go no go like from here on out.
Yeah, I mean you're 10 years older now, but
some people get worse.
Yeah, that's true, but. You got a helpmate.
I did. Thank the Lord.
Yeah, because I was like, I'm not about to do this for the rest of my life.
So you come up and...
So I come up and I ask you, are you going to ask me to be your girlfriend?
And then I'm like, will you be my girlfriend?
Yes.
Like a dork.
It's just like, oh my gosh, Kate.
And you reluctantly / happily said yes. And finally, 5-6 months after... January interview.
After the initial hug.
We're officially together. Everything. I think it's still on my Instagram page of our hug, my arms around you,
and my mom was like, "That's an inappropriate
mirror
picture."
Because I had pants on, but I didn't have a shirt on. But you're in front of me, and I don't know. So it's really not low key. Didn't think anything of it at the time.
I don't think we were doing anything, but it was just like funny. And my mom, I was like, we weren't doing nothing, and she was like, but
correct.
I was like, okay, you're right.
But that mug is still up now as a keepsake, and so we're together. Yay, we made it. We're together. We're dating now. We're very happy, and like summer comes and goes, and I want to fast forward a little bit because from here on out, like we're dating and like things are good. But there's one really rocky thing that happened the beginning of junior year.
Yeah.
And then we can go wherever you want after that. But so we're together, everything's official, talking all the time. I'm working, etc. We didn't touch on what happened at the end of the semester, which is like you said earlier, like I lost my job, my grades had plummeted, and that sets up the context for junior year because there were all-nighters that were pulled. I was still helping you with homework and stuff, but again, it was like reciprocated in terms of affection and feeling and all these things. So summer comes and goes. Junior year starts. And right before / right at the beginning of junior year, I'm like, I flip a switch mentally.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
Like we're back on campus now.
We're back on campus. I'm like, last semester, with me losing my job and me not focused on my grades, I cannot have that happen again.
Yeah.
And I cannot allow my new relationship to be so much of a distraction that I am going to, like, not necessarily drop out of school, but just like barely make it through school because I'm so busy with my own stuff and I'm busy trying to help you and all these things. And so mentally a switch is flipped and I come into this school year with this energy of like, this can't happen again. And that was very off-putting for you. So I'm curious for you to kind of pick up your perspective.
So I didn't know about this mentality shift. All I know
it wasn't a conscious thing.
Yeah,
it was a thing that like
it was
came
like
up
a
on
trauma
me.
response.
Yeah, it was a thing. Like as we got closer to school, something came up in me.
We ain't on summer break no more.
Correct. I gotta lock in.
Yeah. Yes. So I think it was really just we'd be going to class or whatever, and I would just text you to like check in or whatever, and you wouldn't say anything, and then I would text you again, like maybe some hours later, just checking in to like see if we were gonna like get together for like dinner or something. You wouldn't say anything, and eventually when you would say something, I'd be like, Kane, you can't just ignore me all day. So you weren't really communicating anything with me, and as we know, like communication is key in a relationship.
That's the one thing everybody knows and agrees on.
And our communication was breaking down. So we're coming off of like the summer and it's been great. We've been talking and now you're not saying anything to me.
Yeah.
Or if you do, it's just at the very end of the day.
Yeah.
And I told you straight up, you cannot treat me like that. If you treat me like that, Kane, like we're not going to have a relationship.
And my excuse was, I've got to start strong. I got to focus on my grades. And I was very concerned that
I was going to put you in a bad place again like the prior year.
Correct.
And so
I didn't trust you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the next day, the same thing was happening. I'm like, this Negro got me messed up.
This is like the first couple weeks of the semester.
Yeah, I don't even think it got that far, to be honest. It wasn't. I think it was like that first week.
Yeah.
And we had some meeting that we had where we were in a mutual group where we had a meeting, and I told you, you cannot treat me like that, Kane. And when you did it again, I said, bet, I'm not talking to you for the whole next day.
Yeah.
Like, I was very intentional about not talking to you for 24 hours. Even when you texted me, even when you said, I love you, text me back, I didn't say anything back to you.
Yep.
And that was the hardest day. It was so hard to not say anything back because I just needed you to understand that you can't disrespect me and like think that that's okay.
Yeah.
And I understand like what you feel, but we need to talk about it. You're not just gonna ignore what we just spoke about, and because that's disrespectful. And when I didn't say anything back to you, you saw me at the meeting, and I said we could talk after the meeting, and we discussed it. And I said I understand, now that you're sharing with me what you're triggered from, but I need you to understand that you and I are not in that same situation we were when we first were starting to get to know each other. Like, that I love you. I wouldn't treat you like that. You have to trust that things will be different this time around. And the only way we're going to know that is if we go through this school year and you see that I'm not that same person. Otherwise, we wouldn't even be like at this point. And you understood, and you didn't do it again after that, and things are fine. So.
Yeah. Learned my lesson pretty quickly with that one. It was a weird little hiccup at the beginning of junior year that sticks with us, like in terms of our story. Yeah,
because I think it shows, like, for, as a woman or a man, you have to know, like, your value, and you have to know what your standards are, and you don't compromise on those, even if you are in a relationship. If your significant other is doing something that is hurtful to you or is disrespectful to you, you have to be able to show them that that's not okay, and then communicate it, make sure the boundary is firm, don't step back on it, like this is the standard, and show that there are consequences for treating you a certain way. And if they can't step up to the plate, then you have to decide what you're going to do. Like, am I going to accept this treatment or am I going to walk away? And so, but you got to give them a chance to correct it. And Kane corrected it, so we moved forward. And I think just fast forwarding through college, we ended up moving in together senior year because we basically had already moved in together junior year. You just were staying at my place all the time. And it wasn't until, the Lord was very patient with us, and he gradually convicted us of that this was not the right way to be living. And I appreciate that Kane was there during my senior year because I was very depressed my senior year. I went through a very deep depression, and had Kane not been there, I don't really know what would happen. Yeah. I was very much having a lot of suicidal ideation, and
it was one of the darkest, top 3 darkest times, I think, for you in our relationship since I've known you.
Yeah, I was like, you just need to be with somebody else. Like, I can't be anything for you right now. You deserve better. But I think that him being there and present with me was important so that I was able to get out of bed a lot of days. And, that was the year that we got Miko, and it was a lot of foundational growing.
That Miko became, Miko was already in the picture, but he wasn't yours, right?
Oh, no, he was. You're right. He was junior year.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was when I moved off
So
campus.
Miko was around.
Yeah. But it just, there was a lot of things that tested our relationship.
Yeah.
And if your relationship's not tested prior to marriage, you should be cautious of getting married.
Yeah.
I was really depressed, and I was able to. That was a time where I leaned on you a lot, and I leaned on the Lord a lot. Like, I really started pursuing him again. It was like, you go through these stages in your faith where you really start pursuing the Lord more deeply than you ever have in the past. Like, I needed him to help get me out of this space. And because even though you were great and I appreciated everything you did for me, it still wasn't enough.
Yeah.
And I didn't go to therapy at the time, so the Lord was all I had to get me out of there. And that's why my graduation hat said "Thank Jesus" on it, and they called it out. I was like, yes, Lord. They were like, where's the girl with the "Thank Jesus" hat on? I was like, that's me. Thank you, Jesus. I'm walking across the stage. I don't even know if I'm technically graduating because I don't know if I'm going to pass this class, but we're going to trust in the Lord because I can't stay here no more. I got to go.
Yeah.
School is not for me.
You made it.
I made it, just barely.
Barely made it. You made it. You got that paper,
I
though.
got that paper.
That,
I don't know
it.
where it's at, but I got it.
It's somewhere. It's probably in our storage. We don't care about that thing. Not the paper. Care about the graduating and the experiences, obviously.
But it wasn't long after that because we graduated in May, we got married in September, and it was, long story short, the Lord in different stages, he kept convicting us of things. We went to a church service one Sunday, and the pastor was preaching, and I'm over here like, yes, hallelujah, talking about everybody else's sin. Then he come on my sin, talking about, now let's talk about all those technical virgins. Is that? And he's like, for y'all who have done everything but the thing. And I
chokehold.
And then that was when the Holy Spirit put it into like verbal words for me that,
can't keep doing what you're doing.
You can't keep trying to like basically see how close to the line you can get, because that's sinful.
Yeah. And
when I got that message, I think we talked about it before on another pod, like it really rattled me, and it really like woke me up to, okay, so basically we've been living in sin, so we can't do this anymore. And so we were pretty like, I think we were pretty like cold turkey about like not doing anything. Like we still slept in the same bed together, but just not doing anything.
It was very, very platonic for like in terms of like sexual activity.
It wasn't nothing. But then
because the conviction was real.
I
should have been sleeping on the couch, but
and we had intended to get our first place, like get a 2-bedroom so that we could each sleep in a different room, and realize how broke we were. We couldn't do that. And but it wasn't until my mom was talking to me, and she submitted something to me about, you can't be preaching X, Y, and Z, but then like you live together with your boyfriend. Yeah. And I'm like, but we don't having sex. We're not doing anything. And, she's like, yeah, but it's still considered sin to even look as if you're committing sin. And then I had like 3 encounters of that. It was like my mom, some guy when I was working at K Jewelers that like I was checking him out at the cash register.
This is how it all has to happen extremely quickly because this is immediately after graduation in 2015.
It was probably that summer.
Yeah.
Because I had
to be.
Yeah, because I had 2 interactions at K Jewelers and one with my mom. My mom was the last one. So the 2 at K Jewelers, one was the guy that was ringing up at the register, and he had asked me about like, is my boyfriend a man of God or whatever. I don't know how we got in the conversation. And I was like, yeah, I think I mentioned that we were living together, but we weren't, having sex. And he was like, yeah, if he's a man of God, he wouldn't be leading you to like live together before marriage. And I was like, oh, I was like, okay.
It's true.
Yeah. And, because I was like, again, I didn't see an issue with it because we weren't having sex. Like, I thought the issue was just the sex part.
Correct.
But again, like anybody who's living together, I mean, we all going to assume that they having sex. So that doesn't signify a Christian standard of living. And even if you're not, because you just presume that they are. But the last one was before my mom, was a girl. She came in and she was looking for a ring, and she was talking about her and her boyfriend were eloping, or they had eloped, one of the two, and they had their pastor wed them because they had already had a kid together. They were living together, and they just like they wanted to be living right in God's eyes. So they eloped and got married, and I think they were getting the rings to get married, or maybe they already got married. They were getting the rings, something like that, to just have it. Oh, no, I think they had eloped because they were getting the rings because they were about to have their wedding for the public. And I just thought that was so great. I'm like, okay, like, that's what Kane and I can do. Like, we could get married now and then have the wedding a year later, so we have time to save up. And K Jewelers was, that was a good spot for me right there because I didn't really, like, want to be there, but the Lord had plenty of ministering to do to me there. I go to my coworker's wedding, and it
has to be in like July.
No, it was in August.
Really? Early August?
Probably early August.
Had to have been.
It was either late July, early August, like last week of July or the first week of August.
Okay.
And she was getting married. She invited me to come, and because we were cool at work, and I mean, I knew she spent like $25,000-$30,000 on her wedding. In my mind, I'm 22, okay? Naive, never really been to a wedding outside of my uncle's wedding in Jamaica. I was 15 at the time, so I haven't been to a wedding for real since I became a young adult. And I'm like, yeah, 10K. Like, I'm going to have a bomb wedding for 10K. Like, you know, that's a lot of money. And I go to her wedding thinking like, well, she's spending 3 times that. Like, this is going to be crazy. Like, and
it's about to be huge.
It's gonna be like an immaculate wedding. And it was a beautiful wedding. Like, don't get me wrong, like it was beautiful wedding. Like, I could tell they spent a lot of time and effort with things, but I just thought it was gonna be like what her wedding was like what I thought I was finna do with 10K. And so I was expecting a lot more because of how much she had spent.
Right.
And yeah, so
that flipped the switch for you.
I'm at the wedding, and I'm like, I gotta step outside. I call Kane on the phone. I'm like, babe,
what's up?
We are not doing this.
And I'm like, wait a minute.
We are not doing this. Like, we finna just get married. I don't care. Like, I'm not spending my college tuition for the 4 years I was there on a day.
Adriana, for real, like, one of the most important things that you've communicated to me in our relationship so far is how important this, not just getting married, but a wedding is to you.
Scratch all of it.
You are very rarely like going to pivot on something that is so deeply connected to your childhood and all of your expectations. Are you sure you want to do this? I need you
to understand reality. We ain't got that kind of money, so it's not happening.
Are you sure?
I was like, yes.
This is how this interaction basically went over like a couple days. Like, I was like pressing because I did not want you to change your mind off of an emotional response to something that you had just experienced.
No, I just,
because you do that.
Yeah, but we both don't come from families that have money to throw us a wedding. Yeah. It just was not going to happen. It would be what we could afford to do. And realistically, with the jobs we had at the time, like, I hadn't started my business yet. I could not see how we were going to be able to do a wedding like that for $20,000 to $30,000. There just was no way. We'd have to take a loan out. I'm like, I already got student loans, and you already knew how I felt about debt.
Right.
It's an absolute no. And for me, understanding that, when I told you that divorce was happening a lot, at least at the time when I was growing up, because of finances. Yeah. People were divorcing because of finance. That was like the number one reason people divorced at the time. I'm not going into my marriage in a financial deficit. I mean, that is not wise. I'm not doing that. Yeah. So to me, I was like, we're going to elope. Let's just go ahead and do it. And then as we were planning it, I just in my head, was like, let's just do the whole thing. Like, we're going to get married we're going to elope in 5 weeks. Let's just do the whole thing. So we planned the whole wedding in 5-6 weeks, and
start to finish. I really want people to recognize the timeline here. Like, graduate May, June, whatever, 2015. We get our first jobs. And then Adriana goes to this wedding at the end of July, early August. She calls me, and she has this huge turnaround. Revelation.
It's not worth it.
Brand new conviction. And Adriana's convictions are strong and they're deep. And so I need to press, because if the conviction is changing and it's not just like, I feel this way right now, I got to press to be sure. And this was a new conviction, new deep conviction about the cost of the wedding and all these things. From late July, early August, so let's just call it August. Our anniversary is September 4th. Yeah. Adriana goes to this wedding at the end of July / the first week of August. She has this revelation. From that point forward, 5 weeks or whatever it is, it's August, September. It's the next month. Not just the next month, but like the first 4 days of that next month. We go from, we have we get a venue, we get a dress, we get a suit, we get wedding rings / bands.
I get engaged.
You get engaged.
the week before the wedding.
We get invites sent out. We get decor. We bring family. We get friends. We have basically 2 venues, actually, because we have the Connor Prairie, where
we did the
ceremony is, and then we had a reception, and then we had a hotel that we went to afterwards for our honeymoon.
Our one-day honeymoon.
Our one-day honeymoon. Right. And that was it.
We had bachelorette party. We had a bachelor party. Like, we did everything. And a bridal shower. We did pretty much everything. We didn't do a rehearsal dinner, but we did pretty much everything you would do.
In 5 weeks.
And we planned in 5 weeks. And we did it for $5,000.
All of it.
Everything.
And our budget was like $2,500.
Yeah.
So that's where the principle for me came from. Whatever you budget, double it.
Yeah.
But still, $5,000 is like nothing for what we did and the timeline that we did.
And we paid it off by the end of the year.
We paid it off by the end of the year. It's one of our proudest things that we hold on to. Yeah. That'll be like just something that we share with over and over again, because to me it's just so cool that we've been married 10 years. We'll be married 10 years this year, and our wedding wasn't big. It wasn't super fancy. It was beautiful. But people
were impressed.
It was very impressive.
I remember my coworker was like, "You planned all of this in 5 weeks, because we took a very unique venue. Like, it was a Mexican restaurant that had like a back room area, big back room, where they turned it into like a salsa nightclub on weekends or weeknights or something. And they had never done a wedding reception before, so they were open to. We paid it for, I think it was like $500 to rent it out and all the food, and that we had at least 100 plus people there. Yeah. So it was a big enough space. You had to have a creative mind. Like, I decorated everything. My aunt, helped. She was like the day of coordinator, but like, I made all of my bouquets. I made all of the decor. Like, I found Pinterest. I had my Pinterest board, and I figured out the vision for it, and she helped put it together, because I was second guessing the vision the night before. Then the next morning, I was like, okay. Like, so it can be done. I think that you just have to be focused on the right things, and we were focused on, one, doing what was right in God's eyes. Yes. We got marriage counseling for, I think, like a week or 2, and because we didn't have much time, but the sessions that we had were impactful enough and help us to make sure that we were the right fit for each other, and that we were able to answer some deeply rooted questions that maybe we were unsure about for us, if this was going to work, and things that I will probably never forget in our marriage, to know how to be the best wife I can be to Kane, and vice versa for him to me, husband to me. And so it's really about prioritizing what's most important, and that's the marriage. Yeah. That's the thing that most people don't prioritize. They prioritize the wedding. And one day I do want to talk about weddings. That's not tonight's episode, but I'm very proud of how much we grew and all the imperfections of our walk with the Lord in that process. But I know that when we had our wedding night, that was the first time I went all the way. And I remember the feeling of I just felt the Lord tell me he was proud of me. Yeah. And I remember that so vividly, like, just in that moment. And it was very special to me, because I remember talking to friends about like their first times, like going all the way, and it wasn't, there's no condemnation or anything, but it's just, I'm just grateful like that wasn't my story, because mine was really special, and it meant so much to me that I valued something that the Lord valued. And while I made mistakes and probably thought that I was better than others because of, just arrogance and like God having to, and pride, and him having to prune those things out of me to realize, no, like you was still effing up and messing around like the rest of everybody else. Even if I had a standard, like, that standard needed to be refined so you understood like what it meant to be sexually pure. Yeah. And to be able to walk that out with you and for you to respect that journey as well, I just think that no matter what the enemy has thrown at us over the last 9.5 years, there's such an unbreakable bond here, and there's such a strong foundation that it really doesn't matter what he throws at us. I was listening today to Pastor Philip Anthony Mitchell talk about why do we think that Christian marriages fall apart so much, even potentially more than like non-Christian marriages. And he said, like, when you are true believers and you guys become a union, become one, you might not have had really any issues potentially before you got married. But when you become in covenant, because you are a representation of Christ and the church. So Christ is the bridegroom and the church is the bride, him and her. And we are a representation of that. The enemy wants nothing more than to not see that be represented successfully, because it creates doubt again about who God is. And so you are going to be attacked. He's going to come after you. He's not worried about non-believers couples. So they may have a successful marriage and like they don't come against attack in the same way. But we have definitely come against a lot of attacks. And I'm just proud of us. I'm proud of us. I'm grateful that we had, adversity prior to getting married, and that there were some things I believe broken in the spirit through our obedience of, sexual morality, and being mindful of building that foundation on Christ, because I know that a lot of people don't make it to this point. I'm excited to celebrate 10 years with you. Yeah, me too. I think about that. I used to think about that at 5 years, like, oh, we're halfway there. I can't wait till we hit 10. And we're pretty much almost there, and it's crazy. And to know that when I think about our wedding day, and I remember walking down and seeing you and just knowing like how in love I was with you, and I couldn't believe like that we were making this decision together, and we had a lot of adversities up until that point too, but none of it seemed to matter in that moment, like walking down to you and getting ready to say our vows, and it was very like rushed, everything, but the timing was perfect. And not knowing that like our love could grow into something more beautiful and more deeply connected, and purposeful, and who knows what it's going to be another 10 years from now. But we're just still on the early part of our, life together. God willing, we get to live a long life. But it's just incredible to see when you trust God and you actually put him first and you trust his timing. His timing is different for everyone. Ours was early on for marriage, but as with wanting to have kids, it's seeming to be a lot later, and we don't know when that time will come, but we're still trusting him with that process and understanding that his timing is perfect. He is good. He is trustworthy, and that others should trust him too, and should really build their relationship foundation on him, because he knows the future. He knows us individually, and if he saw fit to put us together, we need to know that he put us together, not that we put each other together, because we don't know that much. I don't know where we're going to be 10 years from now, but I do believe we're going to be together 10 years from now, and I do believe God will be the reason we are together 10 years from now, and 20 years from now, however long it is. But he knows that. So he knows who you're going to be 20 years from now. He knows who I'm going to be, but we're going to be evolving And that's something that's really hard to do with a person for a lifetime.
Yeah.
So to those who are single, be patient. You don't want to rush into this thing.
Yeah.
Life is already hard enough as it is, let alone trying to do it with another person who has come from a completely different background than you. Different things that have shaped them as a person. Different ways you have to be compassionate and patient and understanding and kind and generous and sacrificial and serving. It takes a lot, and it's a beautiful journey, but most people don't have the heart posture to actually steward that well. Yeah. So be patient with God's timing. He's developing in you and developing for you and your spouse. So continue to seek him about where you're at in life, what needs to be pruned, what needs to be purified, what needs to be learned, and know that when he does bring that person to you, it's gonna be beautiful, but it's gonna be work too. Yeah. And to just be encouraged that he hasn't forgotten about you.
I feel good. I feel great. I feel it was good to really dig, because we tell our story frequently-ish. Yeah. Especially when we go into new spaces, it's like, oh, how'd you guys get together? Where'd you guys meet? Blah, blah, blah. It's like, it's a long story, and that's kind of the disclaimer. So being able to actually sit down and go through it again was very cathartic and nostalgic, and helped me appreciate what we've done and how far we've come. And so I'm just full of butterflies. Like, I feel really good. I feel joyful and grateful for all that God has brought us through. And I like how you're thinking more about the future. I like how your language recently has been about, like, God knows where we're going to be, and we're going to grow into that together. Yeah, because I completely agree.
Yeah, and I just want one more encouragement because when we watch Pop the Balloon and all of our other dating shows to get a peek into, like, what it's like right now for those to date, I just really want to encourage someone out there, whoever this is for, you can develop attraction. You can develop chemistry. I don't know why that's such a taboo idea, because people are like, I'm waiting to feel a certain energy, a certain connection. I'm just not drawn to you. Yeah. And they've spoken 4 words. Yeah. Like, I think that's absolutely ridiculous. And, you know, some people might be lucky or blessed, whatever you want to call it, to be initially super attracted to someone physically. And then the emotional and mental comes. But that stuff truly, truly fades. And I am very attracted to you. And likewise. Yeah, like, I know you've always been. But, yeah. But
that ain't going nowhere.
Right. But for someone who wasn't initially, like, I acknowledge that I thought Kane was handsome. Yeah. I'm not saying you got to try to make something work where it's like there's nothing there. Sure. But, I mean, it's the type that I'm talking about. Because I could acknowledge Kane was a handsome young man, but he was not my type. Correct. And the type chokehold will keep you lonely. Yeah. Will keep you single. Will keep you with the wrong person multiple times, because it's the same person that's the same type over and over and over again. Where I just feel like God is intentional with not providing the thing that you're accustomed to, the thing you're naturally drawn to, because there's something about that natural inclination that is not going to actually produce and give you what you need. Yeah. And that's why you're drawn to it. You just keep going back to it. It feels good, but it's not good for you. It's just like eating candy and, like, junk. And it's like, it feels good. I want it. I enjoy it. But in the long run, like, you're going to get sick from it. You're going to gain weight from it. You're going to get tired from it. You're going to break out from it. It's not good for you. Yeah. Even though you have a natural inclination to want it and desire it. But when you actually transition over to, like, healthy whole foods, fruits, vegetables, and you start you know, giving it a chance and actually really eating it, and like you find yourself starting to enjoy it. You miss it. You feel like, oh my gosh, like why haven't I been, you know, eating my fruits? Why haven't I been eating my vegetables? Like when you eat something that's unhealthy, it's like it don't sit right. You start getting stomach aches. Like you recognize good fruit in people when you actually take the time to get to know someone and stop prejudging and believing that you actually know best, because you don't.
Yeah.
God knows best. Submit it to him. Have good wise counsel around you. Please get some wise counsel around you. We had that. I had that. You know, when I was being ignorant, you know, that's when my wise counsel kind of reeled me back in and was like, Kane's solid.
Yeah.
You know? So, no, that's all.
Yeah. Amen. Well, now that's our peek into marriage.
Yeah.
And that concludes today's episode and the first season of For the One. Clap it up, y'all. We made it. Very proud of what we've done. A lot of work to do. We're excited about the road ahead, and we'll have more details about that. So don't expect anything for the next week or two, at least, while we kind of figure things out and figure out our strategy going forward. But when you do see us, we'll be back better than ever, more excited to continue to share our story, continue to hopefully provide godly counsel and wisdom, because this podcast is called For the One, and that hopefully is you. Whether that's you, like the leaving the 99 for the one, whether you're looking for the one, whatever one means to you, this is for you. And we just want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to be in alignment with God's will and being good stewards over our time so that we can execute in the best way possible so that it reaches all the ones properly.
Yeah.
So that being said, thanks you guys for tuning in, and can't wait to see you again. Now take care.
Bye.